The twin flame journey is often seen as a mystical and profound experience, one that goes far beyond conventional relationships. It is the soul's deepest calling, the merging of two halves destined to reunite. The divine feminine, deeply intuitive and spiritually aware, often finds herself seeking answers, especially when her divine masculine appears distant, unawakened, or emotionally unavailable. Many divine feminines wonder, what does he truly think of me? Does he feel our connection the way I do? Why does he run if he loves me? These questions echo in the hearts of those on this sacred path, creating a storm of emotions that can sometimes feel overwhelming. But beneath the surface, beyond the external behaviors and challenges, the divine masculine holds deep thoughts, emotions, and realizations about his counterpart. Even when he doesn't express them, they exist. His mind may be conflicted, his heart hesitant, but his soul knows the truth. To truly understand what the divine masculine thinks of his divine feminine, we must look beyond the physical world and into the depths of his soul's journey. Let's begin. 1. He feels an unexplainable pull toward her, even if he tries to deny it. From the moment the divine masculine meets his feminine, something shifts inside him. It's not just attraction or admiration. It's something much deeper, something that unsettles him in ways he can't explain. This connection feels like an invisible force, drawing him toward her no matter how much he tries to resist. Unlike his past relationships, which may have followed a familiar pattern, this connection is unpredictable. It doesn't follow logic. It doesn't fit into any category he understands. When he looks at her, he feels a sense of knowing, as if they have met before. When he hears her voice, something in him stirs, as if she is calling to a part of him he has long forgotten. This feeling excites him, but it also confuses him. He may try to rationalize it, telling himself that it's just chemistry or coincidence. He might even attempt to dismiss it, convincing himself that it's nothing special, but deep inside, he knows that's not true. This connection is unlike anything he has ever experienced, and no matter how much he tries to explain it away, it doesn't fade. At first, he may not know how to handle it. If he is still deeply rooted in the material world, he might struggle with emotions he doesn't fully understand. He wonders why he thinks about her even when they are apart. He questions why her presence feels so familiar, why her energy calms him yet unsettles him at the same time. He may even feel overwhelmed, as if something beyond his control is happening. His logical mind tells him to resist. He might tell himself that it's moving too fast, that he needs time, or that he isn't ready. Fear, past wounds, or a desire to maintain control may cause him to retreat, creating distance between them. He may focus on work, immerse himself in distractions, or even seek out other connections to prove to himself that he can move on. But nothing works. No matter where he goes or what he does, the bond remains. He feels her presence even when she's not there. He sees reminders of her everywhere. A song, a dream, or a simple thought can bring him back to her in an instant. Even if he tries to silence it, the pull toward her never weakens. At his core, he knows she is different. He may not have the words to explain why, but his soul recognizes her in a way his mind cannot comprehend. And that realization changes everything. Once he has felt this connection, he can never go back to who he was before. Number 2, he sees her strength, even when she doesn't see it herself. The divine masculine is often in awe of his feminine strength. Even if he never says it out loud, he notices the way she carries herself, the way she loves without limits, and the way she stands firm in her truth. She is the embodiment of grace and resilience, and while he may not always understand how she navigates the world with such depth, he deeply respects it. At times, he sees her struggle with self-doubt or questioning her worth, and it frustrates him because, in his eyes, she is powerful beyond measure. He sees her light, even when she momentarily forgets it herself. However, because he operates differently, often suppressing emotions rather than expressing them, he may not know how to reassure her. He may assume she already knows how special she is, or he may believe his words won't make a difference. Despite this, he secretly admires her ability to love unconditionally. He respects the way she faces her emotions head-on, something he often struggles with himself. Even if he distances himself at times, it's not because he doesn't see her worth, it's because he's still learning how to embrace his own. Number 3, He feels unworthy of her love, even if he won't admit it. One of the most painful truths the divine masculine carries is the belief that he is not enough for his feminine. This feeling may not always be obvious to her because he hides it well, but deep inside, he wrestles with self-doubt. The divine feminine often sees him as strong, resilient, and capable. To her, he is a force of power and stability, someone who can stand firm no matter what life throws at him. But what she doesn't always realize is that he does not always see himself this way. Beneath his outer confidence lies a man who questions his worth, especially in the face of a love as pure as hers. Her love is unlike anything he has ever known. It is unconditional, accepting, and unwavering. It sees him not just for who he is today, but for who he has the potential to become. And that level of devotion is both beautiful and terrifying. For most of his life, he has been conditioned to believe that love must be earned, that he must prove himself worthy before he can receive it, that if he makes a mistake or falls short, love will be taken away. The divine feminine challenges this belief simply by loving him as he is. But instead of bringing him comfort, it often makes him uneasy. He wonders if he deserves it. He starts to overthink. What if I disappoint her? What if I let her down? What if she sees my flaws and realizes I am not the man she thinks I am? These thoughts create a wall between them, one that he builds not to push her away, but to protect her from what he perceives as his own shortcomings. His fears may cause him to act distant or emotionally unavailable. He might retreat into his own world, withdrawing when things feel too intense. It's not because he doesn't love her. It's because he fears that if he lets her too close, she will see the parts of himself that even he struggles to accept. Yet, no matter how much distance he tries to create, the love between them does not fade. It follows him through dreams, through signs from the universe, through the ache he feels when he is apart from her. Her presence in his life reminds him that love isn't about perfection. It's about growth, acceptance, and learning to embrace the parts of himself he has spent so long hiding. Over time, he begins to understand that his feminine's love isn't something he needs to earn. It's something that already belongs to him. And when he finally allows himself to receive it fully, he realizes that she never wanted him to be perfect. She only ever wanted him to be real. 4. He thinks about her more than he lets on. Even in silence, she is always on his mind. The divine masculine might not be expressive in the way his feminine is. He may not say, "I miss you," or openly show his emotions, but that does not mean he doesn't feel them. In fact, he thinks about her more than she could ever know. His thoughts of her are not always planned. They come unexpectedly. He hears a song that reminds him of her and finds himself lost in memories. He catches a familiar scent in the air, and suddenly he is thinking about the way she laughed, the way she looked at him, the way she made him feel like home. Even in the busiest moments, she lingers in his thoughts. He may be working, spending time with friends, or focused on other responsibilities, but she is never truly gone from his mind. He remembers the things she said, the way she made him feel safe, and the connection they share that he has never been able to explain. Sometimes these thoughts bring him comfort. Other times, they overwhelm him. He may try to push them away, telling himself that he needs to move on or that the connection is too complicated. But no matter how much he tries to suppress it, she remains a constant presence in his heart. He might not always act on these feelings. He might not send the text he wants to send or say the words he longs to say. But in his quiet moments, when the world slows down, he allows himself to feel the depth of what she means to him. As he grows on his journey, he begins to accept that she is not just a passing thought. She is a part of him. She always has been. And no matter how far apart they may be, that truth will never change. 5. He knows she is his mirror, and that scares him. One of the most intense realizations the divine masculine experiences is understanding that his feminine is his mirror. She doesn't just see him for who he pretends to be, she sees everything. She sees beyond the surface, beyond the masks he wears for the world, and into the depths of his soul. Through her, he is forced to face his true self. He sees his strengths, his beauty, and his potential, but he also sees his fears, his wounds, and the parts of himself he has spent years avoiding. If he has insecurities about love, self-worth, or commitment, she brings them to the surface, not through confrontation, but simply by being who she is. Her presence alone acts as a reflection, showing him where he still needs to heal. This can be overwhelming. For most of his life, he has been conditioned to suppress emotions, hide his pain, and prove his worth through external success. He has learned to navigate the world by being in control. But with her, control doesn't work. She disarms him. Her love is unconditional, something he is not used to. He is drawn to her, yet at the same time, being near her forces him to confront emotions he doesn't know how to process. This is why he sometimes pulls away. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that facing himself through her eyes is one of the hardest things he has ever had to do. When he looks at her, he doesn't just see love. He sees truth. And truth can be terrifying when he has spent years running from it. But distance doesn't erase what he knows deep down. No matter how much he tries to distract himself, he can't forget the way she makes him feel. He might try to convince himself that the connection is too intense, too complicated, or too overwhelming, but his soul knows otherwise. Over time, as he matures and begins to do the inner work, he starts to see her presence in a different light. Instead of fearing what she reflects, he begins to embrace it. He realizes that she is not in his life to expose his weaknesses, but to help him heal them. She is not there to criticize him, but to remind him of who he truly is. He starts to see that she is not just his mirror. She is his greatest teacher, his guide, and his home. And when he finally accepts this truth, he stops resisting. He stops running. He allows himself to grow, to evolve, and to step into the man he was always meant to be. 6. He loves her more deeply than words can express. The divine masculine's love for his feminine is deeper than even he understands. It is not the kind of love that fades with time or distance. It is not conditional, fleeting, or based on circumstances. It is something eternal, something his soul has carried long before this lifetime. But love, for him, is complicated. Unlike the divine feminine, who often expresses love freely, he struggles to show what he feels. He may not have the right words, the right actions, or even the right timing, but his love is always there. It lingers in the way he watches her when she isn't looking, in the way he remembers little details about her, in the way he silently protects her even from afar. There are moments when he questions why he loves her so much, why the connection is so strong, and why no one else has ever made him feel this way. But deep down, he knows the answer. She is a part of him. No matter how much he tries to deny it or ignore it, his soul recognizes her as its missing piece. This love scares him, not because it is unwanted, but because it is uncontrollable. He cannot turn it off, cannot escape it, cannot replace it. It exists beyond logic, beyond reason. Even when he tries to push it away, it remains. It follows him through dreams, through memories, through moments of solitude when he least expects it. He may take time to fully embrace it, but eventually, he realizes that this love is not meant to be feared. It is meant to be honored. It is meant to transform him, to awaken him, and to bring him home, to her, to himself, to the deepest truth of his existence. And in the end, no matter how long it takes, he always finds his way back to her. Because love like this doesn't end. It only changes, grows, and waits for the right moment to be fully embraced.